Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Control Chaos, podcast for the flock. Nick Ciamarra here with the trillest PE teacher I know, Matt Semanick.
Call.
And as always, super producer Brandon Dorr. He's feeling a little under the weather today, unfortunately. Sounds terrible. He's over in the corner. We're trying to stay away.
I feel fine. I just sound like shit.
Touched all our mics.
Anyway, it's Thursday, October 29th, which means it's rivalry week. That's right. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, meeting at the bank. Big week, big game. 5-1 versus 6-0. I can't wait.
Get the vacuum out, vacuum the couch, vacuum the floor, get the snacks, get the chips, get the grill out. It's time to get cooking.
Definitely not going to want to miss this one. Biggest rivalry in sports. So let's get into it. Two of the best defenses, two legendary quarterbacks, Big Ben and Lamar Jackson. I've been waiting for this one. How do you see this game going, Matt?
All right. Well, just to start, Pittsburgh and Baltimore is the biggest rivalry, in my opinion, definitely of the AFC North. Pittsburgh leads the series between Baltimore 28-24, counting playoffs. If you didn't know, in the last 10 Ravens-Steelers games, 7 of those games have been decided by one possession. Ravens have won 6 out of the last 10 against the Steelers. And this is a new year. It's 2020. Steelers look juiced up after not doing too hot last year. And still it ain't do too bad with a roughed up quarterback position. And now they got Big Ben back. He's looking like he's making his final run, kind of like Ray Lewis did back when we had our Super Bowl run. I see a great game coming up. It's really hard to decipher because even when you look at the statistics between the two teams, they're so similar. Passing yards, the Steelers are 24th with about 233 yards per game. Ravens, 31st, next to last, only above the Jets. However, they're below 200. They're around 188 yards per game. Not a big difference in passing yards. And you got to think that the Ravens are playing from ahead a lot of the time. That's cutting down on their passing yard stats. So that's not too big of a difference between the two teams there. However, rushing yards, when you get to Ravens lead the whole NFL with 164 yards per game. The Steelers are 11th with 130. So the Ravens, again, they're juiced up in the rushing yards because they are leading the whole time. Steelers have had a couple close games with the Broncos. They had a close game with the Titans, so they had a little bit more of a mixture. And they do run the ball well with Connor. They have a great offensive line that's got great run block. I see very, very similar offenses here. What's going to be the difference, in my opinion there, Nick, is going to be the defenses. Which defense is going to make the mistake first, right? Who's going to blow that coverage? In yards allowed, the Steelers lead the entire league. 286 yards a game. That's under 300. That's pretty impressive, saying Baker threw for about 0 yards in the first quarter and then threw for over 300 yards for the rest of the game, right? The Steelers allow less than that their whole entire game, rushing and passing. Ravens are 9th with 339 yards a game. A little bit of a difference there. Steelers come in leading the league in sacks as well, so they're stacked on the defensive side. They got great pass rush and T.J. Watt. They got Cameron Hayward down there. They are juiced up on the line. They got great defensive backs with Minka Fitzpatrick back there, Joe Hayden. They look good. Now, the Ravens do look good in yards, maybe not so. Points, that's the main thing. You win by scoring more points than the other team. The Ravens lead the league. 17.3 points per game. It's impressive. That's under 20. Less than 3 touchdowns a game.
Hell yeah.
That's 2 touchdowns and a field goal per game. I will take that any day against any team with the offense like the Ravens. But the Steelers aren't far behind. They only allow 2 more points per game at 19, and they are 6th in the league. So, as you can see, they're so similar here. It's really hard to decipher. What it comes down to, the key to the win, third down conversions. Third down conversions are going to be the key in this game. The Ravens hold their opponents to third down conversion rate of 25.8%. That's a quarter. All right? But the Steelers are third in the league with a 51% conversion rate on third down. So who's going to hold out? Is the Ravens defense going to get off the field? They couldn't against the Chiefs. Will they be able to against the Steelers? Or are the Steelers going to convert those third downs and continue their drives, taking clock off, allowing Lamar to stay on the sideline? And we all know how the Ravens are struggling when Lamar's on the sideline too long and we can't run the ball. playing from behind has been their weakness. So these third down conversions are crucial to me, Nick, here. I really think it's going to come down to whichever team has the better third down conversion rate.
That's a lot of good points there. And time of possession, like you said, is definitely huge and a big reason why the Ravens lost to the Chiefs. Going back to that game real quick, the defense was on the field too long. Lamar, I wish he had more time on the field. And also going back to what you were saying about how these teams match up, I think you won't see two teams match up better than these two teams this week. The Ravens and Steelers, like you said, they both dominate on defense. They both like to run the football. Two really good quarterbacks with somewhat similar styles. Obviously, Lamar's a little faster, and Ben's probably...
I'd say a little different styles there. I don't see Big Ben breaking one.
Let me finish. So, Big Ben is a better passer, obviously, and a smarter QB. And, Lamar's got the edge as far as running the football. Big Ben's like 38, so he's definitely, slowed down a bit. He used to be able to escape like crazy back in the day. That was one of the toughest things about Big Ben and the Ravens trying to stop him was getting him down. He was never really fast, but he was always smart enough and quick enough to get away from Haloti Ngata and Terrell Suggs. I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times. And, I think Big Ben, even if he doesn't have that speed, you still see him, like, especially last week against Tennessee, he looked like he was wrapped up one play, and he makes that shovel pass to Ebron. I know you saw that, Matt. That was
a fantastic play.
Pretty impressive. There was another play where James Conner's to his right, and he's got 3 Titans in his face, and he's still trying to pitch the ball out to Conner. Not much happened on those plays, but it's better than a sack. It's better than falling down, and that's what Big Ben is so good at, and what he'll always be good at because he's so consistent and knows what he's doing. I don't want to give him too much praise,
Yeah, and he has help this year. The receivers, Juju, Deontay Johnson looks fantastic.
Claypool
coming out of nowhere as a rookie and showing off already. 4-touchdown game, breaking records. They look good. The offense does look good. They're going to pass. They're going to test Marlon. They're going to test Marcus Peters. They're going to test our young defense. Deshaun Elliott needs to have a big game against the Steelers offense.
And from what I've seen, going back to Big Ben real quick, from what I've seen over these years watching him play, is he's had a lot of injuries. And when you hit him a lot, which is difficult, obviously, that's how you beat the Steelers. You got to hit Big Ben. He hadn't taken a lot of sacks this year. If the Ravens can get to him, if they can get through their line, especially with the addition of Yannick Ngakoue, I think I'm saying that correctly. If not, correct me anyway. Adding him, having Judon, hopefully Patrick Queen can get some pressure on him. Calais, obviously, bringing back Saxonville to Baltimore with those two. Also, Marlon Humphrey and our other DBs like Deshaun Elliott love to blitz, so hopefully the Ravens can get some sacks on Big Ben, at least rattle him a bit, force him to flinch a little bit more in the pocket, maybe feel uneasy. I think that is going to be a big deciding factor in this game, is whether or not the Ravens can hit Big Ben.
Oh, absolutely. If they get back there, they can turn Big Ben's strength into a weakness. When you're a playmaker and you're out there trying to make plays out of nothing like Big Ben does, it's dangerous. And if they can hit him and he tries, that's how mistakes occur. That's how turnovers happen. That's how you get that pick, that thrown ball. That's how you get that too much effort, trying to do too much when it's not right, instead of throwing the ball away, can hurt you at times, and that has been Big Ben's weakness at times. So in order for that to occur, the Ravens have to get back there.
And I love seeing Calais Campbell week in and week out getting his hands up. He's gotten at least a couple batted balls this year. Hopefully, with that height and Big Ben, maybe not seeing his hand, or Calais doing his thing, whatever it is. Hopefully we can get some batted balls, some tips, hopefully turn into interceptions. The Titans were able to do that last week, forcing Big Ben to throw 3 picks. There was one he threw into tight coverage, a really questionable ball. He was intending to throw it to Juju late in the game. I thought it was a really poor decision, but hopefully that pass rush can force Big Ben to make mistakes like that.
Yeah, so what are the Ravens going to have to do on offense in order to put points up on this dominant defense that the Steelers have, and in order to score more than their offense?
I'm worried a little bit about our offensive line. Lamar's taken probably too many sacks so far this season. So I'm worried about guys like Watt and Bud Dupree getting in our backfield, slowing down the run, making Lamar scramble a lot more. That's what I'm most worried about. I think the line's got to block better. I think Andrews and Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead, they're going to have to get open. Can't have drop balls. Can't have any average routes. Like, they got to be on point this game. Hopefully the run doesn't get shut down, but I see that as a possibility if the line is not playing up to par.
I really hope that they try to expose that middle linebacker position this week with Devin Bush being out for the season.
True.
I'd like to see some running back routes. I want to see them run some routes. I want to see this guy cover their backup. We got to test him. Put him out there, run the ball up the middle, see if he finds the holes. He had a couple good plays against Tennessee, but you got to keep testing them. Keep testing them. Devin Bush is a dog, and whenever you have a great player go out, it hurts the defense just a tiny bit. Got to expose those weaknesses.
Absolutely. That's a great point because Devin Bush, we all know he's a beast and a big part of that Steelers defense. So, yeah, hopefully Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, guys coming across the middle can take advantage of some of the intermediate passing, and hopefully we can get some much-needed third down conversions.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this week, starts another game that we'll remember forever. Maybe an overtime game. Who knows? They already had overtime last week, but it'd be cool to see an overtime game between the Ravens and the Steelers this week, or a Raven blowout. That'd be great. But the Ravens and Steelers have been such a firm rivalry for such a long time that there have been so many memorable moments, haven't there, Nick?
Oh, for sure, sure.
There's just been so many to choose from. But, I guess if you had to choose your favorite Ravens versus Steelers memory, what would it be?
I think it was watching, this was back in 2016, the Ravens went to Pittsburgh on Christmas, and I'm watching this game with my family. I don't remember the final score, but I remember, unfortunately, Antonio Brown had that extension over the goal line to win the game. Kind of broke my heart, but
a great play.
That was such a fun game, watching Flacco and Big Ben go back and forth, just a dogfight in the trenches like it always usually is. And also, can't forget Steve Smith. He was a big factor in that game, putting the Ravens in a position to compete. Flacco was throwing the ball real well. Kyle Juszczyk had what was almost the game-winning touchdown to win the game. And unfortunately, Big Ben, what he's so good at is going down the field with less than 2 minutes, doing that 2-minute drill, and got the touchdown to Antonio Brown. So even though it was a loss, I think that was the most exciting game. Watching it with my family, especially my dad and my brother, like that was a good game to watch. If you like football, like win or lose with the Ravens, it's always a good game.
Wow, I would have never expected you to choose a memory where the Steelers won. I'm not going to lie. It takes a lot of strength.
It's good football.
Yeah, you must be an actual true fan of the game in order to choose a game where your team lost. That's impressive. Personally, I'm going to go the complete opposite route from you, Nick.
Go ahead.
I'm going last year. Ravens versus Steelers, first game between the two of 2019 in Pittsburgh. Love when the Ravens go to Pittsburgh.
Me too,
I feel
man.
like they play better there, and it's awesome when you can give Pittsburgh a loss at their home field with those terrible towels because they can wipe their tears off with those terrible towels. It's perfect.
Hell yeah.
But if they're in Pittsburgh, Ravens are down 23-20. It's the fourth quarter, and we finally get to see Lamar try to make a comeback. He drives the team down the field, gets into field goal position. Tucker bangs a 48-yarder, overtime. Now we're in overtime. Ravens get the ball. We're like, we got this. Ravens are going to get the ball. They're going to score a touchdown. It's going to be over. Steelers stop the Ravens right away, get a sack, 2 sacks. Punt. We give the ball over to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's driving. We're thinking it's the end. Steelers fans are getting hyped. Those towels are swinging. You can hear how loud it is from the TV set. And then all of a sudden, Juju catches the ball with a whole bunch of wide open space except for one guy. And you know who this guy, he's the boxing champion. He's going to be the welterweight champion of the world one day. Marlon Humphrey comes out. He punches the ball.
Yeah.
Punches the ball out. 10 yards. The ball flies down the field. It's heading for out of bounds. Marlon Humphrey gets up off the ground, hustles, dives, jumps on the ball 10 yards away before all the other players can get to the ball. Ravens get the ball, drive about 15 more yards into field goal position. Tucker, bang, hits the game winner. All the Steelers fans are shocked. They go home sad. Probably a couple of domestic abuses over there in Pittsburgh.
Shit.
Oh, yeah, it gets serious. This rivalry gets serious. And they just use their towels for their tears. And that makes me happy.
Oh, we got a flock caller on the line. Who we got? Caller, what is your name?
It's your boy.
Your boy?
What's up, yo boy?
Is this David? Is this Dirty Dave?
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Please welcome the one and only Dirty Dave, my brother, David Ciamarra. How you feeling today, David?
I'm doing great, man. I just woke up from a nap. We're doing good.
Feeling fresh. Who
Dirty-
doesn't love a good nap?
Dirty Dave wears Pinhead.
It's Pinhead Larry, and, I couldn't be here today.
Ah, okay. Well, we're happy to
shit.
have you, Dirty Dave.
All right, David, some quick questions right off the bat. Got to know your thoughts on Steelers-Ravens. How you think this game's turning out?
Man, this has definitely been one I've been circling all year, as soon as the schedule came out. And obviously, given the stakes of where both teams are at, I don't want to go on a record saying this could be one of those, decider for first place, but, it definitely has the build-up behind it. But more importantly, I think really whoever can score and who can score right away, that'll definitely show a message. I mean, clearly we know both defenses, are hard-nosed, but, I think even though the defenses will definitely be focused on primarily, the offenses are really going to be on display as far as who can be able to get that early lead and set that presence early.
Yeah, I think that's going to make a huge difference. We were just talking about how well Pittsburgh and Baltimore match up as far as, like you said, two really good defenses, two very talented quarterbacks, two teams that love to run the football. So I think you said it really well there. These teams just match up super well.
Mm-hmm.
You got a final score for this game?
Oof. I won't say it goes too high. I'll say, I'll say more like a 27-24. Jay Tuck once again, don't even, just literally can do it with his eyes closed, just game winner always. 27-24, Jay Tuck.
I like it.
Final
I like it.
Field goal to
Hope you're
win
right.
the game.
I hope you're right. All right, so we were also talking about favorite Ravens-Steelers memories. So many games, so many good ones. I was saying my favorite was when we were watching the game on Christmas. Unfortunately, Antonio Brown, he made the famous extension, and Pittsburgh won. But that was my favorite Ravens-Steelers memory just because it was such a good football game. You got guys like Steve Smith, Antonio Brown, Big Ben, some of the most famous plays in Ravens-Steelers history were made that game, and that's why it's my favorite. Matt was saying that his favorite was last year when the Ravens went into Pittsburgh and Tucker nailed that field goal to win it in overtime. So I want to know, what is your favorite Ravens-Steelers memory?
I would agree with you in in two aspects. As far as with one, the great game of, even though the Steelers lost, that was still an incredible game. That was very, anybody's game, and in some aspects I would agree with you in terms of my choice being the 2008 AFC Championship in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
That was where I was going, because that was the season where, I was starting to, get a grasp of the game and, becoming the fan and all that stuff, and that game alone, I mean, you had Polamalu, everybody was just on board. It was a cold game. And I think Joe was, obviously he was a rookie, but I think he was showing signs of, like that defense kind of like, tensing up a little bit on him.
Yeah, and Dave, you make a good point. That was back when we were young. And so was this back before when you were just regular Dave and not Dirty Dave?
Right. Yeah, the Pinhead Larry beef was not there yet.
So how did you get the dirty part of the nickname?
Yeah, that's another question that's a story for another day.
We have time, Dave.
Come on, David. Come on, share with the flock. No, I'm just kidding. You don't
Well,
have
I
to tell
mean,
us.
you can't just, if you're gonna be making, music, you can't just be regular Dave. You kind of had to add a little, So that was just sort of the music. The music aspect was, I couldn't. I needed a rap name, and the Dirty was, the Dirty was more fitting at the time.
Oh yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
gritty.
Usually people go with Lil or Young, something stupid like that. I like Dirty a whole lot better.
Well, I made it. What, I was 13, so it just kind of stuck with you. So
Own it. I like it.
All right, so David, we got a couple more questions. There is a video, 2 TikToks actually, of this Cowboy fan that sent us a video, some weird cowboy or whatever, and Juju doing the same dance on TikTok. Now, I got to know your thoughts. Have you seen the video, first of all?
Yes.
Now, who do you think nailed that dance better, the Cowboy or Juju?
Damn, that's tough. That is a tough one. I'm gonna go the favorite, and I'll say Juju, just because Juju has my
whatever.
respect as far as pulling up to people's proms, even though he's like 25. But I still think that given his credentials and background and his experience, I'm gonna give it to Juju.
Yeah.
No disrespect. Well, all the disrespect. I don't like Cowboys, so that's another
Yeah,
question.
screw him. He's a Cowboys fan anyway.
I mean, if anything, they shouldn't have the Sunday night game, but that's another question. That's for another day. So
I'm with that too. All right, so another question coming at you. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, he's endured many injuries, one of them most notably when Haloti Ngata broke his nose in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's anyone tougher than Big Ben? And if so,
at the quarterback position?
No, just anybody.
Anybody in the league?
Anybody ever, David?
That's a great question. I mean, really, I know that, he really is, he really has become over his career more of a, the joke. But I would say as far as, Eli Manning has always been somebody, I mean, the Iron Man, he endured a lot of starts where in a lot of games where he may not have, wanted to play those games, but he played them anyways. Brett Favre, those are 2 guys that didn't miss games. Look at Aaron Rodgers. So I guess I would say Aaron Rodgers if we're going to go somebody from today's game. I mean, just the heart, the tenacity, all of it adds up together.
Aaron Rodgers has had his fair share of injuries. That's not a bad answer.
Well, and, I take a look at that 2018 opener and, him getting hurt and that injury looked brutal and then just comes back.
Collarbone.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, Big Ben's tough, don't get me wrong, but, I think Aaron Rodgers, and especially even mentally tough with that loss against Tampa, just, I think you can make an argument, Aaron Rodgers is up there too. So,
When Aaron Rodgers falls off his motorcycle, then I'll put him in the race for
Oh,
tougher
damn.
than Big Ben. But there's no way, in my opinion, that any quarterback right now is tougher than that man that he has endured. Way far more.
I get it.
And his
it's a
offensive
great
line
argument.
used to be one of the most crappiest offensive lines out there. And he would taking hits and dishing the ball out, breaking his nose, getting hurt. He played with his arm was out of his socket at one point. This man was still playing with a bad arm. Big Ben is a dog. He's called Big Ben for a reason. If you go stand next to him, he's gonna look down at you, and his boot could step and kill him.
No,
like he's a big guy. I won't want to see him in work boots ever.
Right, yeah, definitely.
You know every bug when Big Ben puts his shoes on is running for the hills because that man's got a big area he covers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and I've never really looked at Big Ben like too much as like a complainer. Like if somebody just like clotheslines him or he always gets back up. Always toughens it out. He's always fit that like Steelers quarterback toughness. He's right up there as far as mentally tough and just physically tough at the quarterback position. So.
Without a doubt. All right, final question. In past years and this season, TJ Watt and Marlon Humphrey have been talked about as potential Defensive Player of the Year candidates. Neither have ever won it. I mean, they're still pretty young. If they were to fight UFC style for the title, for Defensive Player of the Year, who's coming out on top and why?
All right. Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, TJ's a little bigger, so TJ would definitely be able to get the ground game working, maybe throw in a couple, triangles and, I don't know. If they make it a catch weight, then we'll talk. But,
Even when Marlon Humphrey can punch the football the way he does at a grown man's hands?
Well, that's the argument. If we're talking, if TJ's going to be more of a wrestler, I'm sure somebody in the Watt family wrestled in high school or college. I don't know. It depends.
No doubt.
And I'm saying it. All right. So say that TJ gets the ground. He's preparing as a wrestler going in. And if Marlon stands up with him, I could see that being a stand-up, Marlon winning that in a stand-up fight. But that's the problem. When you include MMA, you always have to be aware of the wrestler. So I think it could vary.
You make some good points. I think I'd have to go with Marlon just to take the home team, but you never know. That would be crazy if that were some pay-per-view to see.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, as Mike Tyson, he's starting his athlete league, so you never know. You never know.
All right, and one more thing. We meant to mention it earlier about Dez Bryant becoming a Raven. Just want to know quickly your thoughts on him joining the practice squad.
Oh, I mean, I think it's great. It's definitely, they're already, you already see with him, in Hollywood, that's going to be a great compliment to Hollywood. I think he's going to learn a lot of, experiences and all kinds of things from Dez, and I think it'll really be able to take the edge off once he gets, acclimated in the offense. I think Hollywood won't have to be, you'll even start, I'm sure, see, these number ones even start to guard Dez, later in the season or maybe even early on. And I think Hollywood will be able to kind of get a little bit more opened up and, it'll be able to take some pressure off because, Dez will obviously want to get back to being Dez and, goal line and, those Megatron type of catches, and I think it'll be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I hope you're right. As if having Antonio Brown as a cousin wasn't helpful enough for Hollywood Brown. Now he's got Dez in the same locker room. Hopefully that'll be some help to his game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was having this conversation, real quick, with the Antonio Brown thing. And not that wouldn't have been a bad signing, but I think that is it's almost a little bit better because you don't have to deal with that family. Somebody else, especially like Dez, who's not known to, cause too many problems or anything like that, I think that'll be a good mentor for Hollywood.
Definitely.
And Andrews.
Not a lot of risk with signing Dez to the practice squad. I'd love that move by the Ravens.
Yep. Yeah, and who knows? He may come, we'll see if he already gets pulled up by Sunday, but I would expect next week, or the week after, to be on the roster.
Yeah, I hope you're right. All right, David. Well, thank you for calling in, being our flock line caller this week.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Always a pleasure.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Dirty Dave.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Do you think if he takes a shower, he becomes clean, Dave?
You just blew my mind, bro. Should have asked him. Tune in next week to find out. Psych, I'm just kidding. All right, well, that wraps up today's show. As always, thank you for listening. Your support means everything. If you like this show, tell your friends about it. Tell us what you think. And please leave a review on iTunes. That's probably the best way to give us feedback. See y'all next week. Happy Halloween. Send me some Skittles.